A Short Drink from a Certain Fountain is yet another distinct Rod Serling title. I almost can't even say without his inflections. It's based on a story or idea, according to the Twilight Zone companion, by Lou Holtz. Serling's style is felt in the episode, but it feels like a concept more akin to Richard Matheson or Charles Beaumont's TZ work. There are a few details surrounding the airing of this one that make it notable, so let's take a sip and see how this fountain tastes. The elderly Harmon Gordon is a very rich man who's married to a wife 40 years younger. Flora treats him poorly, with persistent jibes thrown his way every minute. She mocks his age the most and how Harmon can't keep up with her. One night after dinner, Gordon phones a doctor named Raymond for a house call. Raymond just so happens to be Harmon's younger brother and a research scientist. He adamantly disapproves of Flora and hates how she's destroyed his older brother. Desperate, Harmon asks about Raymond's experimental cellular serum he devised to reverse the aging of animals. Decades away from the thought of human trials, the younger Gordon admonishes Harmon for even suggesting he administer it to him. The senior man's near-suicidal state changes Raymond's mind, and later that night, he gives Harmon an injection. The next morning, Gordon appears younger, much to his wife's delight, but the unpredictability of the serum soon starts to present itself. I mentioned in my review of Season 4's miniature that episode was taken out of syndication and was finally shown again as part of the Twilight Zone Silver Anniversary special in 1984. They even colorized part of the footage as a treat for fans. The special was hosted by Patrick O'Neill, who starred as Harmon Gordon here, as he introduced several lost episodes, A Short Drink from a Certain Fountain being one of them. I couldn't find any concrete evidence, but it seems like this may have also been originally taken off TV because of a lawsuit claiming the idea for the script was stolen. Likely another false accusation since it did return to the airwaves after a couple-decade drought. Sounds and Silences was the third and final lost episode shown in the special, and we'll be covering it soon. A Short Drink from a Certain Fountain isn't as memorable or unique as Miniature, but it does feature a strong performance from Patrick O'Neill. Only 36 years old when the installment debuted, O'Neill does an excellent job at portraying a man much older.
I'm at the point where it matters very little to me whether I live or die. I want you to test this serum on me. Make me young again.
He has the expressions, the slower movement, and especially the voice down pat. For their part, the makeup team also did a solid job making him look believably aged. There's a second stage where he looks a few decades younger before the makeup is completely removed, and O'Neill performs accordingly. Ruta Lee as Flora was only 8 years younger than her co-star and nailed the malicious wife bit.
Oh, I knew you were old, Harmon. I just didn't know how old. If you ever take me to a swinging weekend in Egypt, I just may run away with a mummy.
You know what, Harmon? Your idea of the finer things is to hold hands in a mausoleum and listen to the organ music.
Serling really knew how to script those cutting insults. This and Uncle Simon proved it. Lee, O'Neill, and director Bernard Gerard were all one-time zoners. Lee played her part perfectly, as it's very easy to dislike Flora. Conversely, Gordon is painted as the innocent old man, but maybe that kind of character wasn't 100% blameless in a situation like this one? Serling and Holtz didn't seem interested in exploring that side of the coin or delving into Harmon's background much further, which is fine. They only had 25 minutes to work with after all. Walter Brooke as Raymond delivered serviceable work. This was his second appearance in the zone after Season 3's The Jungle. He had the most dynamic motivations, loving concern for his older brother, and contentiousness with Flora. They have a pretty intense interaction at one point in the story.
He sounded lucid to you?
Look, Pally, I'm not the night nurse. I think you're in the wrong ward. Besides that, you bore me.
How do you feel, Harmon?
How do you feel, Harmon?
He even threatens her when warning Harmon about the side effects of the serum.
I promise you that if you don't survive or if you're damaged in any way, I'm going to take it out of her skin. Piece by piece. She's going to donate a pint of blood for every pint that she's bled out of you.
Flora is shown to be a horrible human being. There's more than enough reason for Raymond to hate her, but I mean, he's the one who shot his brother up with the experimental drug. Yes, Harmon may have been close to ending his own life, but you'd think his own flesh and blood would have come up with another way to help him. I'm digging too much into this. It's the Twilight Zone. They had to get to the science fiction of it all. Perhaps there was a more natural way to arrive there, though. Thrilled with his youthful results, Harmon starts making plans with Flora to travel across the world. However, the de-aging process escalates, putting Gordon into agonizing pain. After an ordered rest from Raymond, the doctor emerges from his brother's room to explain that Flora now has a new lot in life. Harmon has regressed to a toddler. Raymond says that Flora is tasked with raising him as he'll begin to age like a regular child from this point on. If she refuses and walks out on him, she'll be left with nothing, and her extravagant lifestyle will be lost. Through her tears, we see that the script has been flipped on Flora. As Harmon grows up, she will grow old. This episode's Benjamin Button twist is fairly predictable, but like Uncle Simon, the female character is left in a questionable position consequences-wise. If Flora leaves her age-regressed husband, she'll be cut off from his fortune. In a speech by Raymond that goes on too long in spelling out the moral to the audience, she's doomed to live as the older spouse, taking care of a toddler and raising him to manhood, knowing one day he'll pine for women of his own physical age, giving Flora a taste of her own medicine. There are several problems with this. Number one, why would Raymond trust this woman, someone he hates, with raising his brother? Doesn't that put the kid in yet another awful living situation? Number two, as with the Uncle Simon episode, why doesn't Flora just leave? She's in her late 20s. They said she used to be part of a chorus line and she could easily restart her life, get another sugar daddy, and be better off in a short amount of time. I guess the draw of guaranteed wealth was meant to be a fatal flaw for her. This ending just doesn't present enough logic to see Flora get her just desserts. Raymond already threatened her. You could just lean into that and say he's going to personally make sure Harmon's wife doesn't leave. Or maybe Raymond did this all on purpose to take his brother's assets and steal Flora away. At least that could have been a more unpredictable double twist. As is, it lacks an extra substantial punch. I think Matheson or Beaumont in his prime could have thrown something a little more interesting together if this was one of their episodes. A short drink from a certain fountain is on the lower end of okay for me. I don't feel the need to heavily suggest seeking it out. There are better installments that deal with these themes, available in the more prestigious pastures of the Twilight Zone.
That's crazy.
Crazy? No. It's bizarre.